According to US Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, the EU is going to open up its market to US companies. As if we don't already have plenty of mech eyesores at every corner of our streets. No, it's not enough to economically colonize Europe. This historic US-EU Framework Agreement on Reciprocal, Fair and Balanced Trade is none of the above. It isn't reciprocal, since Europeans will be forced to buy American. It isn't fair, since Europe will foot the bill. It isn't balanced, since it will only hurt Europe and benefit the USA economically. What this is the ritual economic sacrifice of the European peoples. In particular, our middle classes must cough up the funds to keep the dying US empire alive just a little longer. A lot of the wealth about to be transferred from European citizens to the USA, however, will end up in Israel. Not to pay for Israel's defenses, but rather to pay for the construction of Greater Israel. Gaza was just a start. Now our money is needed to capture additional Arab territories. It will also help house the displaced Arabs elsewhere at our expense. This fake deal, or rather suicide pact with the US, means we'll have to drive European farmers out of business. That way, American farmers can increase their production and their profits at the European people's expense. This is why, for example, Dutch meat and dairy farmers have come under such brutal attacks from their own government in recent years. The Dutch are the largest meat exporter in the European Union. However, to increase American ranchers' profits, we are going to force Europeans to buy American-bred meat instead. Now, you can also guess why Britain wants to impose such cruel inheritance taxes on family farms. To drive them out of business on purpose, so that their American counterparts can capture the British market. And to convert Britain's pastures into solar and wind farms. The same is about to happen to Europe's fishermen. They will likely lose their fishing rights so that American fishers can sell us more catch. This isn't a competition. It's not like Europeans don't know how to compete. This is what losing a war looks like. Because that's what happened in eastern Ukraine. Russia captured that Donbass region that is very rich in resources, and the USA is going to reap the economic benefits by selling those resources back to Europeans in the form of finished goods. The deal furthermore eliminates EU tariffs on all US industrial goods. That means more European businesses are going to go bankrupt, especially German ones, since the US is not eliminating its tariffs on any EU goods. The deal also says that Europeans must buy at least $750 billion worth of energy during the remainder of Trump's present term. Why? Well, because the Americans sabotaged the Nord Stream pipeline. That cut Europe off from cheap Russian gas. And now we'll have to purchase American shale gas at extortionate war racketeering prices. And the EU will also be required to invest $600 billion worth of euros in the US economy. That's just code for migrating most of German industry out of Germany and into the USA. And as a result, Europe then becomes a limp leper totally dependent on the USA. This is indeed rightfully called the America First trade agenda, except it has also made the USA an enemy of Europe. A future war between these two continents is now a possibility. One I particularly favor over the alternative, that is, Europe dwindling away in irrelevance. Our leaders in Brussels are complicit in the greatest treason ever committed in human history. They ought to be placed under arrest immediately and tried for treason. The actions of these Brussels bureaucrats cannot be explained other than by assuming they are spies serving American and Israeli interests. It is time, therefore, for Europeans to begin seceding from this transatlantic partnership. Europe can only have a future if it dares to rebuild its strengths, skills and competencies right here at home. Namely, by investing all that money in one's own people. It means abandoning the USA and accepting whatever economic cost may be involved. we shall turn our backs on the money man of Wall Street. We'll reinvest our time and effort into a spiritual revival instead. Europe may have lost the war in Ukraine, but we have won the opportunity to rebuild a Holy Roman Empire, a continent ruled by an emperor. That way, we may play all sides independently. We shall then withstand the pressures from the emerging Russian-American chimeric alliance. For indeed, Russia and the USA are now allies in case you haven't noticed. And Europe is their mutual enemy, to be plundered and pillaged. Neither side can be trusted. Europeans can only survive by retreating within and discovering there the still lingering force of a forgotten god.